A lot of people talk about stress when they're leaving a relationship, and I wanted to give you a story of something that happened during one of my adventures when I was rediscovering who I was. So here I am. I drove cross country with a friend of mine, a girls' trip, and we decided to camp wherever we felt like camping, and we wanted to go to Yellowstone National Park and do some hiking, and we had a tent and camped out by ourselves, and it was a really amazing experience. And one of the hikes, one of my favorite hikes of the whole trip, we had 14 miles of just up, like a slight uphill, some beautiful lakes, beautiful mountain scenery, and just the whole thing. We just saw wonderful things. And as we were hiking up this mountain, it's probably about 3/4 of the way through the day, hiking up the mountain, and all of a sudden, I make eye contact with a bear. Now, this bear, we both look at each other, and I swear that I could read in his eyes. He said the same thing I said in my head, which was basically, oh shit, what do I do? And we had that second where we looked at each other, and I thought of all the things that I had ever heard about what to do when you see a bear. Now, I'm a New Yorker from Long Island. We don't see a lot of bears in my neighborhood. So for those of you who are laughing at me because you're like, bears, what's the big deal? For me, this was a really scary experience, and I really had to think about everything that I had ever learned about bears. So everything came to me very clearly, and I thought about all of the warnings that people had given to us, all the 2 cents that they had said. And my friend comes up next to me. So I was a little bit ahead of her. She's walking a little bit behind me. She gets up next to me, and she also sees the bear. And her first instinct is to run. And I'm tall. She's like 5 feet tall. So she literally goes to start to run. I think her camera's in her hand. Goes to start to run. And I swear instinctively, I grab her backpack and I see her little feet just kind of like going like this really fast. And I said, remember what they said. Make a lot of noise and look big. So she was like, yeah, okay. So we both went backwards and we went like this. Bear, go away. We are leaving now. Leave us alone. And we went like this and put our arms up and made a lot of noise, walking backwards slowly but surely, trying to make sure we weren't tripping on anything. And the bear went their separate way and we went our separate way. And we didn't feel safe until we saw some other hikers and thought, okay, I think we're good now. We're with other people. We should be okay. So what is the difference between that type of stress versus the stress that some people are feeling right now? Why were we made to have stress? So there's that moment of that fight or flight. So you probably have all heard of that fight or flight. Do I stay and fight whatever the problem is, or do I run away? So the bear story was actually a perfect illustration of something that actually happened, and both of our reactions, for my friend and myself, it was not necessarily stay and fight, but all of the memories, it was like a slow-mo picture that everything was just so clear, and I knew exactly what I had to do. And my friend was like, ooh, I'm scared. I need to run and get away. But all that adrenaline, all of that stuff actually helps you to think more clearly, and everything becomes like your muscles get stronger, and you get butterflies in your stomach because the blood is actually leaving your stomach to go to your extremities. Your eyesight gets sharpened. So all of these things happen in order for you to run or to fight. So your body is preparing for it. So that is very different, that little moment, compared to what a lot of you are feeling for your stress right now, and for the stress that I was feeling when I was staying in a toxic relationship. What happens is, they call it the gas. It's gas. So I have gas from stress. I mean, who knew? But the first stage of it is, all of those things that I talked about. The butterflies, the adrenaline, the eyes being focused. You being able to think of all these things, that like every memory that you've ever had, everything, flashes before your eyes, and, your muscles become very strong, and all these things, which is great to be able to have that ability in the moment. The second stage is the alarm stage, which is really, you're supposed to be out of that like, ooh, fight or flight. And now everything goes back to that stage where everything goes back to normal. That's how stress is supposed to be, because stress is supposed to be a motivator. It's supposed to push you to get things done. Now that that's done, you should be able to go back to homeostasis, which is your body just going back to normal. But what happens in that last stage is that your body stays in that fight or flight mode. Well, what happens when you stay in that fight or flight mode for a long period of time? You get headaches, you get ulcers, You get sick more easily. You have all of these health issues that will start to arise. If you have family history of like arthritis, of cancers, of diabetes, any of these things, because your body is in such heightened readiness to escape, it's causing your body to get broken down. And all of those diseases that are there are going to come out more. Now, of course, when we're in a place of stress, I don't know about you, but when I'm anxious, I tend to eat more. And you're not going to really snack on salads. I mean, maybe you do, but that's not what I'm snacking on when I'm anxious. And then when I'm really stressed out, like really, really stressed out, I can't eat at all because my stomach is just in knots and I just can't put any food into my stomach. Your body is trying to tell you that it is stressed out. If you are in a relationship where your body is stuck in that fight or flight stage and that stress level is high, you're actually taking time off of your life. You're not able to think as clearly. You're not able to work as well because after a while, that heightened awareness becomes what's normal for you. And it's like all of these different hormones and all these different chemicals in your body are just constantly trying to secrete and work overtime and all these things. And your body just can't function like that for long periods of time. It's time to make a change. You don't have to put your body in fight or flight mode. You don't have to keep dealing with someone who is belittling you and making you feel bad. You can remove yourself from that stressor. You can get away from the bear. You don't have to keep staying to try to fight it. Today's a good day to start making the change. Remember, you're way stronger than you realize.